like playing the Boston Celtics in the 60s and early 70s?
Well, Michael, you played them a lot of times, and there weren't that many teams in the league, and they were battles. I respected them. It seemed like every time they needed a basket somehow, they'd get a bounce the right way. And there were 2 times that for sure we shouldn't have beat them, Michael, 2 times, and we didn't. And that was the most devastating thing of all, to go home and feel the enormous disappointment.
Jerry, what made them so good? What made them so good?
Well, the greatest winner that ever played professional basketball is Bill Russell, 11 world championships. And, they made a trade that was, they traded 2 white guys for a black guy then, which was in Boston, which was a city that it was filled with racial tension. And pretty soon, his dominance as a defensive player, they had some guys that weren't very good defenders, but they had 2 young men coming off the bench, Casey Jones and Sam Jones, that added to their defensive presence. And they could win any game, an offensive game, a defensive game, a physical game. And Bill.
What did John Havlicek bring to them, Jerry? Because he came off the bench too a little bit.
Well, as I say, he was in the perfect place for him because, Michael, they would shoot over 100 shots a night. Okay, 100 shots a night. And they would be very much like today's game. If it would be 1-on-3, somebody would shoot it, but it wouldn't be a 3-point shot. Today now, guys just run behind. They can have a layup. They run behind the 3-point line. But they played a really fast-paced game. And of course, unless you were really knew how to play against Bill Russell, he was a menace out there. And it took me 2 years to figure out. You always had to see him before you drove. You could not, if you didn't see him, you better look to pass the ball. And so that took away a lot of layups, a lot of really close attempts to the basket. And he always he was an amazing shot blocker. Michael, he was like the plastic man. He could drive. There's pictures of him in the air. His body is like flat and he reaches over. And he's an enormous runner, really fast. Wasn't a great shooter, but he could do everything that a team needed to make up for the mistakes that these other players made, particularly defensively. And his rebounding ability allowed them to run up and down the court, and that's why they scored a lot of points.
What were the fans like back there, Jerry? Because they were just terrible for us in the 80s. They weren't that bad back then, were they?
Well, Michael, I had somebody that, I never went back to the Boston Garden after I played. I hated green. You never see me wear green.
So do I, Jerry. I hate green too.
But what was funny about it, Michael, is that they treated us pretty darn well. They really did. And because we had been there so much during the regular season, they saw us play and they saw we had a good team. And we won a lot of games against them, but we didn't win enough to make a difference. And I think Tommy Heinsohn, the late Tommy Heinsohn, said, "You're the Boston Celtics' favorite visiting fan." I said, well, they weren't my favorite fans.
Hey, it's Nick from Showtime with Coop, and I've got something exciting to share with you all this week. If you're anything like me, you're always on the lookout for fun and simple ways to play daily fantasy sports. Let me tell you, you have to check out my new go-to place. That's PrizePicks. Seriously, this is the most fun I've had playing fantasy sports and winning up to 25 times my money this football season. And here's how it works. You could select 2 or more players, like for instance, say Saquon Barkley for more than 60 yards. Then just pick more or less on their projected stats and submit your entry. It's that easy. And the best part? It's just you against the numbers. No pros, no sharks, no tricks, right? It's just you against the established numbers. Recently, I tried out their weekly promotion, and you know what? Taco Tuesday is where it's at. Every Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to give even more value. So not only is it easy and thrilling, but there's potential for some really serious returns on your entries. And if you've played with other platforms in the past, let me tell you what. Once I switched to PrizePicks, I genuinely thought, why the heck did I wait so long? Now here's the cherry on top of the cake for you all. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use the code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. Yep, you heard that right, folks. Again, that's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS. And always remember, daily fantasy sports is made easy with PrizePicks.